For a long time, I believed in a very simple formula. More time spent in the gym means more muscle means better physique. For 2 years, this is what I believed, and I spent 3, 4, 5 days a week inside the gym trying to build the body that I would like to see myself looking at in the mirror every morning. But what I realized is over the course of those 2 years, while I worked hard and I did build muscle, I didn't build a physique that I actually wanted. I built a physique that had muscle but didn't look good. It had muscle but it wasn't functional. In my third year of weightlifting, I decided to incorporate boxing alongside my gym training. During that year, I built more muscle than I'd ever had before despite balancing boxing, right? It seems kind of counterintuitive. You're spending less time in the gym because you're boxing. You're even doing cardio, which should make you burn even more calories, which should burn away more muscle, right? This kind of seems paradoxical, but actually, that is the year that I built the most muscle. This is for the people that have either thought about going to the gym or actually have gone to the gym, but haven't yet built the body that they kind of dream of, the body they think of when they think of aesthetic or athletic or simply good looking. So I'm going to talk through 3 reasons why you should incorporate a sport alongside the gym in order to build the physique that you want. First things first, let's talk about nutrition, because lifting is inseparable from nutrition. You've probably heard before that abs are made in the kitchen, or if you're trying to bulk up, that you have to eat lots if you want to get big. This is a really counterintuitive process if you don't take into account one factor: cardio. When I did those 2 years of the gym, I didn't do any cardio, but I was still trying to follow the general advice of bulking, cutting, bulking, cutting. If you're trying bulking or cutting when you're not doing cardio, you know what that leads to? Being skinny fat. Skinny fat is by far the worst type of body type, right? You have noodle-like arms, not exactly strong, but yet you have a gut that feels so big and so hard to look at in the mirror in the morning, right? This is not a physique that anyone wants. At that point, you might think to yourself, why don't I just cut down all the way, right? I'll get skinny, but at least I'll have the gut. Or you may think, man, I'm just gonna bulk all the way. I'm gonna get fat, but at least I'll be strong. The way to solve this is sports. For example, when you're doing something like boxing, it makes you kind of avoid the whole cycle of bulking and cutting altogether. It lets you do something called recomp, which is when you stay the exact same way, yet you recomposition your body to have more muscle and less fats. How is this possible? Because it incorporates cardio in a way that balances muscle growth and anaerobic or aerobic capacity, right? You're not just jogging on a treadmill when you're doing sports. In the case of boxing, you might be punching a bag while you're doing cardio, training your back and your forearms and your biceps while punching. If you're swimming, you're probably training your lats while still getting cardio. If you're playing basketball, you're training your arms while still getting cardio. It's the balance of those two things that allow you to avoid the skinny fat when you're incorporating the support. Second reason, a lot of times when you hit the gym, at least for my first 2 years, you don't train every muscle group. Now, I'm not even talking about the people that skip legs, right? Let's just assume that you're a good gym goer. You hit a push-pull legs type of split. You're gonna get legs, you're gonna get your chest, you're gonna get your triceps, your shoulders, and you're gonna get your back and biceps. You might even get a little more crazy and you might hit your traps, you might hit your forearms, right? You might hit your calves, whatever. You're still missing key components of your body no matter what kind of split you do, unless you're super rigorous. And let's be honest, nobody's that rigorous with the gym. What are these obscure muscles? The serratus, also known as the boxer's muscle. This is one of the most aesthetic parts of anyone's physique, and yet traditional weightlifting doesn't train it at all. Boxing trains this muscle without even trying to get it. Second, the tibialis anterior, also known as the shin shelf. Soccer and basketball train this naturally, but once again, traditional weightlifting doesn't give any exposure to this muscle at all, despite looking athletic and aesthetic. Thirdly, forearms. Most people don't even hit forearms. I know I did in my first 2 years, right? They think to themselves, I'm hitting back. My forearms kind of feel tired anyways. It kind of hits forearms. Even if you do hit forearms, you're still not getting hit them to the extent of a rock climber. Rock climbing builds forearms in a way that weightlifting simply can't. You'll see the forearms of a rock climber. They'll look really good because forearms are one of the first things you notice about a person's physique, and yet they're not emphasized that much in the gym. Next is a thick neck. Wrestling is a sport that gives us the most, but honestly, pretty much any sport develops your neck quite a bit, because when you're doing anything from basketball to soccer to wrestling, you have to stabilize your body, right? You have to stabilize the forces that try to keep your neck down, so you're able to build a strong neck. Lastly, and kind of similarly, is your core. Combined with the cardio that I was talking about earlier, and also the twisting rotation movements of a lot of sports that train obliques, you're able to build not only a really strong core, but really aesthetic looking core. Those 2 years I did the gym, I had no visible abs, but once I started doing boxing and incorporating core exercises like Russian twists, crunches, sit-ups, leg raises, all this stuff, it's not only strengthened my core for the sports, but it also made me have abs, which is nice. 2.5, similarly, it makes your body more bulletproof. Not only does training and support alongside the gym give you access to more muscle growth in areas you never thought of, it also makes your joints stronger. Looking at your ankles, your elbow joints, shoulder joints, even your calves, right? And not to mention the core that I mentioned earlier. Core is very important to stabilize any movement, so a lot of people lack strength in the core if they don't train it directly, which most people who go to the gym don't train directly. All of those things together make you very strong and hard to injure. So if you're going to the gym and you find yourself getting injured, consider taking up a sport to fix some of these weaknesses. A lot of people have ankle injuries. A large part of that is because they don't strengthen their ankles. A good way to do that is sports. Swimming, for example, is pretty good at strengthening their ankles. Basketball, honestly, it sometimes messes up your ankles even more, but it does strengthen them as long as you don't sprain it. Number 3, and this is perhaps the most important reason, it adds meaning to your training when you do a sport alongside lifting. When you lift, your primary goal in your back of your head is probably, I'm lifting this so I can get stronger, so I can either get healthier or I can look cooler to other people. Both of those are admirable goals, but they don't have as much depth and meaning to you as something like, I'm training to get stronger so I can beat my next opponent in a fight because I'm doing boxing, right? It's a lot different when you're on your 7th rep of a bench press and you're trying to get that 8th rep down. You really want to get the 8th rep down, and one person's motivation might be, I want to get slightly bigger chest. They'll probably stop. They'll think, 7th rep is probably good enough to get the chest that I want, right? Whatever. Person who might be doing something like a step away from boxing, for example, might be something like basketball. You might think to yourself, I might lose my next game if I don't get this last rep in, right? All my training might be for nothing if I don't get this last rep in. It may not be enough. I don't want to stop here and say good enough, because you don't know when something is good enough until after the fact. That sports person is going to push through that 8th rep as hard as they can, because they have meaning to their training. It also helps you get to the gym in the first place, right? You almost look forward to the gym. I do, at least, because I can think to myself, I'm getting stronger, and this is also benefiting my training in terms of my sport. A somewhat interesting reason I also like the gym more than I do boxing is a lot of times sports training is a lot harder than going to the gym. Going to the gym when you first go seems like the most insurmountable hard task you'll ever do. But if you're doing, I don't do wrestling, but I know how hard wrestling training is. So for wrestlers, they have one of the most hardest training regimens in the world. To them, a day at the gym is probably like a break. It's probably like a breath of fresh air, a treat compared to their normal training. So it makes them go to the gym easier. It's easy for them to get up and go to the gym because they think, yay, I guess sit down, lay back, and lift some weights rather than having to do some crazy training and absolutely gas myself. So those are the 3 reasons why you should, alongside lifting, I'm not saying stop lifting, that you should incorporate a sport, any sport, basketball, swimming, dancing, rock climbing, pretty much any sport is probably going to give you a lot of results in terms of your physique.